18 years later, a hidden sun emerged, the incredible journey that exposed a millionaire's fall. Charlie Mitchell had built his life around grease and grit, each turn of his wrench a testament to the love he had for his little girl, Mia. Every evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, he'd scoop her up and spin her around the yard, her laughter echoing through their small Midwestern town. Since his wife walked out on them, leaving behind shattered dreams and a void the size of the universe, Charlie had promised himself to create a life full of love and resilience. Their quaint home was adorned with pictures of Mia's youthful adventures, baking cookies, first days of school, and father-daughter dance parties in the living room, where he would twirl her in time to the old radio's crackling tunes. But on this sunny Tuesday, everything was about to change. There was a knock at the door, timid, almost hesitant. Charlie wiped his hands on a rag, dismissing the thought of visitors. He opened it, and there stood a young man, barely 18, with shaky hands and a heartbeat echoing loudly in the stillness. The boy's eyes, a mirror of his own, held both trepidation and hope. "I'm Ethan," he stammered. I think I'm your son." Charlie felt the world tilt beneath him. Son. The word hung heavy in the air, a weight he wasn't prepared to carry. Anger boiled in his chest, a storm of emotions battling silently. How could he have been robbed of this moment? Instantly, his whole life played back, the sleepless nights, the hard work, the loneliness. And yet, the flicker of hope shone through like a distant lighthouse. Could this boy be the opportunity he never knew he needed? Rumors raced through the town like wildfire. Some praised the boy for his courage, while others whispered about Charlie's supposed failings that led to this revelation. Charlie's heart sank. He was just a mechanic, proud and hardworking. He saw Mia come home from school with whispers of their father being an illegitimate dad. It hurt him deeper than he expected. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Ethan shared about his life growing up, Charlie felt the flickering connection between them, the threads of shared interests weaving a fragile bond. In the depths of this bond, however, lay a shadow. Charlie's estranged father, a man cloaked in wealth and betrayal, watched from the sidelines as his empire began to crumble. Each gossiping glance from townsfolk reminded Charlie of his father's rejection, the man who turned his back on family values to chase paper bills. Could he, like his father, allow ambition to cloud his judgment? Caught between a son he never knew and a father he could hardly forgive, Charlie felt a tempest brewing. Would familial loyalty pull him one way while integrity pushed him the other? The scream of the mechanic shop door reminded him of reality. He had to confront his father, standing at the precipice of the past and future, and figure it all out. What was waiting for him on the other side? A promise of redemption or a return to forgotten scars? As the sun dipped low, Charlie found himself at a crossroads. Would he embrace this boy, or protect the tender world he created with Mia from further corruption? The air crackled with tension, and he knew the answers lay just beyond the threshold of revelation. Charlie's heart raced as he glanced between Ethan's hopeful expression and the sun setting behind him, casting a golden glow that felt almost surreal. The challenge was not just wrapping his mind around Ethan's sudden appearance, but also the flood of memories that crashed over him like a wave. Shallow breaths struggled to press through a throat suddenly tight. "Listen," Charlie said, struggling for words. He turned away, pacing back toward the cluttered workbench filled with tools that had been his companions through loneliness. You can't just waltz in here and say something like that. Do you understand?" Ethan flinched, the hurt in his eyes palpable, but Charlie pressed on, needing to understand why this young man stood before him. "How do you even know? Who told you? Why now?" "I found some papers," he explained, voice steadier than before. "Documents hidden in my mom's things. It said you were my dad. I thought maybe you'd want to meet me." His fingers fidgeted at his side, and for a moment, Charlie saw a glimpse of the boy he might have raised. But it was fleeting. Could the anger really be overlaid with hope? The door creaked behind him, and Mia appeared, her face lit with curiosity and scrunched in confusion. "Dad? Who is this?" Charlie's heart sank again. How could he possibly introduce this tangled mess to his daughter? He felt like he was standing on a tightrope with Mia below, trusting him to keep her safe. "Mia, this is Ethan. He thinks he is my son." The words came out in a whisper, but the weight of them smashed into the room like a thunderclap. Mia blinked, absorbing the blow. Her brows knitted together as she looked back and forth between the two men. It was as if she was trying to connect the dots on a puzzle that suddenly consisted of far too many pieces. "What do you mean? Is he telling the truth?" Charlie's heart twisted painfully, torn between the love of his daughter and this unexpected son. "I don't know, sweetheart. I just don't know." Ethan stepped forward, his voice trembling. "I just want a chance. I want to understand where I come from. You're my dad. I didn't choose this. I was abandoned the moment I was born, just like you were abandoned." Abandoned. The word cut deep. Imagining this boy, alone and feeling less than whole, echoed his own childhood, one lined with betrayal, echoes of his father's absence imprinted painfully in his mind. It didn't take long for the emotions to get intertwined, and before he knew it, tears brimmed in his eyes. Mia took a step close to her father, latching onto his arm, grounding him. "It's okay, Dad. You don't have to decide everything right now." Her voice was calm, steady. She looked at Ethan, searching his face for any remnant of a guided path. "You didn't know. It's not your fault." Charlie felt the charge of confusion swirl around them, but his little girl's kindness reminded him that there was still love to be found amidst this chaos. He didn't know how to navigate all of this, but one thought prevailed: he had to protect Mia. As silence enveloped the trio, punctured only by the sound of a fleeting crow in the distance, Charlie knew deep down that this encounter had opened a door to the past. Yet, he hesitated. What would happen next? Would he bring Ethan into their lives, risking the fragile world he'd built with Mia? Outside, the sun carried on its descent, and with it, uncertainty hung in the air thick as a fog. The ties of blood were strong, but what did family really mean? How would he forge a new path for all three of them without losing the essence of what mattered most? Charlie looked at Ethan and saw the potential to change, yet how? As they stood there, voices wavering, he knew a decision loomed just ahead, ready to tip the balance. What would follow his next words? A chance at a new beginning, or the certain unraveling of everything he had sought to rebuild? Charlie took a deep breath, the air thick with tension and unanswered questions. He could feel Mia's small hand squeezing his arm tighter, a silent reminder of their bond, one that didn't want to be shaken. The moment felt monumental, leaves rustling softly outside, as if the world was holding its breath too. Ethan's gaze never wavered, searching Charlie's face for a flicker of acceptance. There was a vulnerability in that look, and it stirred something deep within Charlie. Memories of his own childhood quickly flashed, times of hoping to exist in someone else's heart. The weight of responsibility pressed closer. "Mia, why don't you go inside and finish dinner?" Charlie suggested, his voice steady, yet strained. He kept his eyes on her, trying to maintain strength. He needed to shield her from this storm gathering at their doorstep. "But Dad, no, sweetheart, please. His tone softened, but the urgency was clear. Just, let me talk to him, okay? I promise, I won't take long. Mia hesitated, her brows knitting with concern. Yet, she trusted her father. With a reluctant nod, she pulled her hand away and disappeared into the house. Once they were alone, the space felt heavy. Charlie couldn't shake the feeling that his world was being dismantled piece by piece. He turned to Ethan, who stood jittery, hands shoved deep into his pockets. You're saying you found these papers, but how much do you really know about me? About us? Ethan's breath was shaky, words tumbling out. I don't know everything, but what I do know, I need to know you. I've been searching my whole life for something, some kind of connection. Charlie felt the hardness within him soften. Connection? He echoed. You realize this isn't just a story of curiosity for me? This is about you wanting to come into my life, and I don't even know what that means yet. I have this life with Mia that I've built up to keep her safe. Then let me be part of it, Ethan said, a quiet desperation spilling into his tone. I don't want to disrupt anything. I just want to understand. If you'd been there, if you had made different choices. A flash of anger mixed with pain ignited inside Charlie. You think it's that simple? You think I can just rewrite the past? He tried to control the trembling in his voice, but emotions were swirling like a tempest. I didn't choose to walk away. I was lost too. I had no plan, no guidance. Life just happened. Ethan flinched, but the fire in his eyes only burned brighter. Don't you see? I grew up without a father. I always felt that void. Maybe we both need this. Charlie studied him closely. The boy's features mirrored his own eyes, jawline, the stubborn set of his lips. This kid could be his. Every beat of that realization sent new tremors of fear through him. Why now? Charlie asked again, needing something tangible. Why find me now? Because I need to move forward, Ethan stated, conviction threading through his voice. And I thought that maybe you would want that too. Charlie's heart ached. He wanted to scream at the unfairness of it all. Want what? To open a door to a past that haunts me? A past I ran from. I'm not ready to embrace any of this. Ethan stood silent, his presence pressing in, an anchor tethered to emotions Charlie struggled to avoid. The wind howled outside, rattling the windows, reminding Charlie of how unpredictable life could be. As it chewed through the silence, Charlie clutched at the edges of his indecision, feeling the walls he built around his heart begin to crack. What if Mia never got the father she needed? What if he lost control completely? Maybe, he whispered, vulnerability seeping in, just maybe, you deserve a chance. But it's not just about you or me, Ethan, it's about Mia too. Ethan nodded, a spark igniting in his eyes. Then let us take it one step at a time. I'm not here to rush in and make demands. I just want to meet her and see if we can be something more. Charlie's heart pounded heavily. Could they really forge a new path from this? The air was thick, and he could almost feel the choice brewing inside him, to open up again or to shut it all away. Suddenly, the back door creaked open, and Mia peeked in, worry etched across her face. Dad? You okay? I heard shouting. Charlie glanced back at Ethan and then at his daughter, the weight of the moment sinking deep into his bones. Mia, come in, he called softly, the decision hanging in the air like a loaded gun. They had to cross this bridge together, but was he ready for what lay on the other side? With the sun dipping below the horizon, casting long shadows in the fading light, Charlie realized the first step toward a new beginning would be taken in the moments he had left to decide. As Mia stepped inside, curiosity blazing her bright blue eyes, Charlie took a deep breath. He knew soon the truth would break into their lives like dawn bursting through the darkest of nights, but what would that truth reveal? Mia entered the room, her small frame racked with worry. The moment seemed to stretch, the air thick and penetrating. "Dad," she said softly, her voice barely rising above a whisper. "What is going on?" Charlie felt the weight of her gaze, a mixture of trust and confusion that twisted his heart. He needed to protect her, but he also sensed that shielding her from the truth was quickly becoming an impossible task. "It's complicated, sweetheart," he replied, his voice trembling under the strain of his emotions. He glanced at Ethan, who stood like a shadow in the doorway, a reminder of everything Charlie had tried to escape. The room fell silent, the tension palpable. "Mia, this is Ethan." Charlie's voice was steady, yet hollow. "He is someone who is looking for answers. Answers about us." Mia's eyes darted between the two men, her confusion deepening. There was something in Ethan's stance, an unspoken plea caught in the air. "What answers?" she asked, her innocence glaringly bright against the somber backdrop. "Answers about family," Ethan said cautiously, taking a hesitant step forward. "About who I am. Charlie, your dad, we share a history. A past that we both need to understand." Mia turned to Charlie, searching for clarity in his expression. "Dad, what does that mean? Is he—" "Not now," Charlie interrupted, feeling the need to safeguard her from the whirlwind of emotions colliding in the room. But inside, a chasm of regret opened wider. He was denying her the truth, yet he feared the splintering connections that revelation could unravel. "Mia, I made mistakes, but Charlie's voice trailed off, unable to finish the thought. His daughter deserved answers, yet her heart was too fragile for the weight of it all. "We'll talk later, I promise." She nodded slowly, still trying to comprehend. "Okay, but I want to know. Please don't shut me out." Ethan's eyes remained fixed on Charlie, scanning for any trace of acceptance. "She deserves better than silence," he stated, the quiet strength in his voice radiating a hope that Charlie found both alluring and terrifying. "Maybe we could all sit down together? Just talk. I want her to know me, and to understand why I came here." Charlie's heart raced at the thought of integrating this revelation into the life he worked so hard to build. Was he truly ready to draw Ethan into their lives? The risk felt immense. He felt like a ship lost at sea, buffeted by waves of doubt and yearning. "Mia, can you give us a moment?" he asked, his voice softening. She eyed him closely, sensing the whirlwind of emotions beneath his calm facade. "Sure," she replied hesitantly, taking a step back. "But I want you to know I'll be waiting for answers, Dad. All of them." Watching her retreat, Charlie felt the weight of her promise settle painfully in his chest. Alone with Ethan, the air crackled with unsaid things. "Why now, Ethan?" he asked, the desperation creeping back into his voice. "Why can't you just leave it in the past? I can't bear the thought of hurting Mia." "Because it feels like the right time," Ethan said, frustration fueling his urgency. "For both of us. I'm not here to claim anything. I just need a chance. We need to see what is possible." Charlie's mind spun as he wrestled with the implications of Ethan's words. What if this moment led to something beautiful? Or worse, to destruction? The line separating the past and future blurred, leaving him caught in uncertainty. "So, what is the first step?" Charlie asked, his voice trembling. Ethan took a deep breath, the weight of his decision hanging heavy. "Let us start with honesty. You open up about your past, and I'll share mine. But most importantly, we need to have Mia there when we do." Charlie nodded, uncertain but compelled. He realized now that the truth he feared could also lead to healing, not just for him but for Mia and Ethan too. but the road ahead looked rocky. "We'll take this carefully," Charlie said, choosing his words with caution. "I want to do it right." Suddenly, a loud crash erupted from the kitchen, followed by Mia's startled gasp. Adrenaline shot through Charlie. "Mia!" he yelled, running back toward the noise. Ethan followed closely, confusion and fear mixing in the air. When they reached the kitchen, they found Mia standing frozen, eyes wide. On the floor lay a broken vase, pieces shimmering like the shards of their current reality. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to," she cried, the room swirling with tension as Charlie's racing heart pounded even faster. He knelt to comfort her, eyes darting at the mess. This situation was already spiraling out of control. As Charlie wrapped an arm around Mia, he felt Ethan's gaze on him, a silent reminder that their world was on the brink of irreparable change. What would it take to piece it all together before it shattered definitively? Charlie steadied himself, his heart pounding as he crouched beside Mia. He could see her trembling hands, the way her fingers brushed the shards of the vase like broken pieces of their lives intersecting. "Hey, it's okay," he whispered, trying to convey comfort amidst the chaos. "Accidents happen." Mia's eyes filled with tears. I wanted to help. I thought cleaning the counter would be nice, but I didn't mean to break it." Her voice cracked, and Charlie felt a twist of anguish in his chest. "You were trying to do something good," Charlie said, pulling her closer. "That counts for a lot. We all make mistakes. Remember that." He glanced at Ethan, uncertain if this was the right moment for their deeper conversation. Yet, the very essence of their predicament felt like a shared mistake, one that loomed large over them. Ethan moved closer, kneeling on the opposite side of Mia, his presence both reassuring and unsettling. "It's true," he said, his voice careful and soft. "Every choice brings us closer to understanding, even when it feels wrong. You're doing great, Mia. Let us breathe a moment, okay?" Mia nodded, wiping her cheeks with the back of her hand. She looked from Charlie to Ethan, searching their faces. "It feels like everything is all messed up. Why can't it just be normal?" Charlie sighed, a heavy weight settling in his gut. What was normal anymore? He had spent years crafting a life since the stormy days of choices that led to Ethan and their situation. To force Mia to acknowledge their whirlpool of secrets felt unfair. "I know. I want it to be normal too. But sometimes life throws things at us we have to face." There was a moment of silence echoed by the scattered pieces of the vase. Then, as if the universe were mocking the fragile serenity they sought, Ethan's phone buzzed loudly in the stillness. The three of them glanced at the device, the sound puncturing the air like an unwanted revelation. Charlie frowned, a wave of resentment washing over him. "Is it someone important?" he asked, bitterness seeping into the question. Ethan hesitated. "It's probably nothing," he said, but his fingers twitched towards it. "Just some messages. We can ignore it." But he didn't ignore it. His expression shifted, brow furrowing as he read whatever grim news lay beyond the screen. Charlie pressed his lips together, feeling like the dark clouds of their past were gathering again, ready to unleash a storm. Mia noticed the tension in both men. "What is it?" she asked, her voice trembling. Ethan swallowed hard, hesitating a moment longer. "It's about my mom. I was trying to find her." Mia's eyes widened. "Your mom? But why don't you just call her?" "I can't," Ethan replied, frustration lacing his voice. "Not after all this time. I don't even know if she wants to hear from me." The air felt charged, and each word echoed with unspoken histories. Charlie's throat tightened. How much more could Mia handle? No, Ethan interrupted, meeting Charlie's gaze squarely. "I need you both to listen to me. This isn't just about my past, it's about understanding what we've built together in the present. Like what? Charlie shot back, uncertainty driving him. What do you want from us? I need you, and Mia here, to confront what's next together, not apart. His voice softened. There's more than just chaos, there is also the hope of something new on the horizon. We have to take that chance. Mia swallowed hard. Do you think if we find your mom, it'll change everything? Ethan's eyes shimmered with an intensity that turned the air electric. It could be the start of healing. Or it could break us more. Charlie exhaled, a sense of inevitability washing over him. They stood on an edge, something monumental ahead. Then let us take it one step at a time. Mia, Ethan said gently, there is a chance you might get a sister or a brother. As hope and fear clashed in the small kitchen, Charlie felt it again, this pulse of change that could reshape everything. Against the backdrop of broken pottery and fragmented truths, one thought emerged in stark clarity: would they be ready for whatever came next? With a glance at Mia's questioning expression, he knew it wasn't just their past molding this moment, but also their future, swirling like a storm on the horizon. Would they survive the tempest together, or would they be lost in the wreckage of their tangled fates? What if they found more than they ever expected, and it shattered everything good they built? Ethan took a deep breath, the heaviness in the air settling deeper into his bones. We need a plan, he said, his voice steady, almost resolute. I can't keep putting this off. She deserves to know I've changed, and I deserve to understand my past. Mia nodded slowly, the fear still flickering in her eyes. She was young, still figuring out her own world, yet here she was, caught in the whirlwind of someone else's family drama. How do we even start? She asked quietly. Charlie glanced at Ethan, who was now typing furiously on his phone. We'll start by tracking down the last place she was known to live. We can ask around. Maybe someone will know how to find her, Charlie suggested. The words felt so small against the weight of what loomed ahead. Their searching for someone who had been absent for so long felt monumental, as if they were digging through the layers of Ethan's life, exposing echoes and memories long buried. Are you sure you're ready for this? Charlie asked Ethan, wanting to shield him from any bitter aftertaste of what this venture could unearth. It could stir up a lot, you know. Ethan paused, his fingers resting still on the screen. I know. But I have to do this. For myself. And for he cut himself off, pain flickering across his face. Mia stepped closer to him, her hand resting lightly on his shoulder. And for us, Ethan. We're in this together. The sincerity in her voice sliced through the tension, each word enveloped in trust and connection. They spent the next hour piecing together Ethan's past. Old addresses, old friends' names floated to the surface like driftwood, reclaiming fragments of a forgotten history. Each name was like a heartbeat, a pulse of life that thrummed in Ethan's chest. After a while, they huddled closer together at the kitchen table, now littered with crumpled papers and notepads filled with scribbles. What if she doesn't want to see you? Charlie asked, trying not to sound unsupportive. Ethan met Charlie's gaze, the fierce determination echoing in his eyes. Then I guess I have to accept that. But what if she does? What if she has been waiting? Mia's voice cut through with a mix of hope and apprehension. But what if she can forgive you? The room fell silent, the question hanging in the air like a weight. Charlie could feel the tension inside him tightening like a spring. That was the heart of the matter, wasn't it? Forgiveness, understanding, connection. But it all felt so messy. Whatever happens, Mia, Ethan said, turning to her with earnestness, I need you to be honest with me. If you think this is too much, tell me. Charlie watched Mia's face, her expression resolute. I want to lie to you. It's scary, but I'm ready. I want to help. You're not alone in this. Ethan's eyes softened as he looked at her, gratitude flooding his expression like a gentle tide. Then we do this together. Charlie felt a rush of warmth, a flicker of optimism lighting up their uncertainty. Maybe they could navigate this tangled web together after all. And just as they began to share small smiles, his phone buzzed again, pulling them back to reality. Ethan's breath caught. What if they are wrong numbers or worse? With that thought lingering, Charlie instinctively patted his pocket. We can't think like that. We're just starting this, right? Right? With their fears threatening to spiral out of control, they pressed on. All they had were questions and a plan, but every step felt monumental. And amid the soft glow of their small kitchen, each heartbeat uncertain yet brave echoed through the walls. What awaited them, after this leap into the unknown? Would this be a journey of discovery or destruction? And in that electric silence, the past seemed to watch them, waiting for the next move. Would their fractured paths finally align, or would they find themselves lost in the echoes of what could have been? Ethan felt the weight of anticipation wash over him, mixing uneasily with fear. He needed to stay focused. He looked at Charlie and Mia, their expressions filled with a mix of concern and encouragement. The reality of the unknown loomed large. Let us reach out to the last address we found, Ethan suggested, trying to shake off the trepidation. Even if it leads us nowhere, it's a start. Charlie nodded, his wheels turning. Maybe someone there remembers her or has information. He pulled out a piece of paper, reading the address aloud like a mantra, familiarizing themselves with the next step. What if she has moved on? What if she is done with that part of her life? Mia asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Then we'll track her down, Ethan replied, determination seeping through his calm demeanor. Even if it takes time, I'll find her. I have to. A silence settled, heavier than before. It felt like they were standing on the edge of a cliff, peering into darkness. But Ethan took a deep breath, ready to leap into the unknown. They gathered their things, the sense of urgency palpable in the air. When they finally arrived at the address, the house loomed before them. It looked worn, like a faded photograph, but held the unmistakable scent of nostalgia. A crooked fence surrounded it, wildflowers pushed through cracks in the sidewalk, a hint of life amid decay. Ethan felt a knot in his stomach as he approached the door. What if she doesn't remember me? What if she hates me? Just be honest, Mia urged. You're not that person anymore. Show her how much you've changed. The door swung open, revealing an older woman with tired eyes. There was a flicker of recognition as she studied Ethan. Can I help you? She asked cautiously. Hello, he started, his voice wavering slightly. I'm looking for someone, my mother. Her name is Laura. The woman's expression changed, a mixture of surprise and indifference washing over her. Laura, she murmured, as if searching through memories tangled with time. She lives across town now. Haven't seen her in years. Ethan's heart raced. Do you know how to reach her? The woman hesitated, then nodded slowly. I can give you her number. But are you sure you want to do this? People don't always change. Mia stepped forward, her voice gentle but firm. He has changed. He deserves this chance. Ethan locked eyes with the woman, desperation bleeding through his resolve. If there is a chance, I have to know her. Please. After a moment, she relented and scribbled the number on a scrap of paper. Just be prepared. The past can be a heavy burden. As they walked back to the car, Ethan clutched the paper tightly, each heartbeat echoing a mantra in his mind. Are you ready? Charlie asked, a mix of excitement and concern glinting in his eyes. Ethan took a moment, staring at the number, the weight of possibility pressing down. I will be. Not until I hear her voice. Mia sat quietly, lost in thought. Do you think she'll want to talk to you? I don't know. But I'm not backing down now. His resolve crystallized into something fiercer. With sweaty palms, he dialed the number. Each ring felt like an eternity, each vibration rattling his hope. What would happen when she picked up? Would she even recognize him after all this time? And just as he was about to lose his nerve, he heard a voice on the line. Hello. In that single word, the world shifted. Everything they had worked for was hanging in the balance. This was just the beginning, but even in darkness, was a flicker of light. Was it possible that the shadows of his past could now illuminate a path forward? What would Laura say? Would she embrace him, or would the echoes of their past drown him in regret? Ethan. Is that really you? The voice on the other end trembled, disbelief threading through her words. His breath hitched at the sound of her voice. It was softer than he remembered, yet it carried the weight of years. Yeah, it's me, Mom, it's Ethan. The name felt foreign on his tongue after all this time, but it also felt right. There was a pause, and he could practically feel her sifting through her memories, sorting through the emotions that had built up over the years. I thought I'd lost you. I didn't. Her voice broke, filled with a mixture of relief and guilt. I'm sorry. I wanted to reach out sooner, but the words stumbled out, unedited and raw. I didn't know how. I thought you might not want to hear from me. A sigh echoed on the line, the kind that carries years of pain and longing. I always hoped you'd come back. Are you all right? Yeah, I'm okay. Better than I was. He squeezed his eyes shut, the fear creeping back in. Where are you? I'm still in the area. I work at a community center now. Each piece of information felt like a lifeline, pulling him closer to her. I'd like to see you. Can we meet? Sure. That would be nice. There was hesitation, as if she were weighing the gravity of what their reunion might look like. How about tomorrow afternoon? Tomorrow. I'll be there. After hanging up, the silence in the car felt suffocating. Mia and Charlie exchanged glances, searching his face for answers. How did it go? Mia asked softly, her eyes wide with concern. She sounded shocked. But we're meeting tomorrow, Ethan said, his voice steadier than he felt. He could hardly believe it himself. Wow, that is amazing. Charlie exclaimed, eyes shining. But there was something hidden in Ethan's own smile. A mix of excitement and dread. You two will come with me, right? Of course, Mia replied, nodding. As they pulled away from the curb, Ethan couldn't shake off the lingering heaviness in his chest. What would they say to each other? The flood of questions overwhelmed him. Would she forgive him for the years lost? Would they be able to rebuild what had been broken? That night, Ethan barely slept. Each hour felt stretched thin by the weight of his nerves. Memories flickered like shadows across his mind, echoes of laughter, sharp words exchanged, the distance that had grown between them. He felt like a stranger to his own past. Morning came too quickly, and the sun poured through his window, drenching everything in light. Sitting at the table, he picked at his breakfast, heart racing with each tick of the clock. This is it, he whispered to himself, steeling his resolve. He glanced at Mia and Charlie, who were preparing to leave. Smiles twisted their faces, matching the anxious energy swirling under the surface. Ready? Mia asked, brushing her hair back nervously. Ethan nodded, his throat tight. Yeah, let us do this. The drive felt endless, each red light stretching painfully. Finally, they arrived. The community center loomed before them, a vibrant building, alive with laughter and chatter. Ethan's heart raced as they entered. He caught glimpses of families, of kids, of hope. It felt so different from the past he was trying to escape. "Where is she?" Charlie asked, scanning the room. "I don't know," Ethan admitted, fear creeping back in. What if she doesn't show? But just then, he spotted her. Laura stood by the entrance, her hands clasped nervously in front of her. Time had been gentler with her than he had feared. She looked older, of course, yet the warmth in her eyes shimmered with familiarity. "Ethan," she called softly, the light in her voice breaking through the noise of the room. His pulse quickened, every doubt dissipating in the warmth of her smile. But as he stepped forward, he couldn't shake the nagging feeling that the past was still lurking in the corners, ready to shadow their moment. Would they be able to move past it? Or was this encounter just the surface of deeper waters yet to be navigated? Ethan took a hesitant step forward, his heart pounding like a drum against his ribs. The room around him faded, becoming a blur of colors and sounds. All that mattered was the figure of his mother standing before him. "Mom," he breathed, the word nearly choking him. It was strange to think of her as that, after all the years apart. He felt the years drop away like autumn leaves, revealing a bond that was deep yet fragile. Laura stepped closer, her eyes shimmering like morning dew, filled with hope and uncertainty. "Ethan. I can't believe it," she said, her voice trembling slightly. He wanted to run to her, to wrap her up and let them both forget the years of silence. But instead, he stood still, uncertainty clawing at his insides. "I didn't know how to find you," he murmured. "I always believed you'd come back." Her smile was bittersweet, heavy with unexpressed emotions. "It was just a matter of time." "Time," he echoed, biting his cheek to hold back the swell of nostalgia. How could they possibly talk about years that felt like separate lifetimes? A silence settled between them, thick and sticky. Ethan felt the weight of all those smothering moments where love hadn't filled the space. What could he say to bridge the distance? He hadn't been a child alone with his thoughts, he had been a young man forged by pain. "Can we sit?" he suggested, nodding toward a nearby table. "Of course," Laura said, almost relieved. They moved gingerly to a table tucked away in a quieter corner. As they settled in, Ethan caught sight of Charlie and Mia out of the corner of his eye, their eyes filled with visible support, yet hesitation lurked in the background of their expressions. "So, what have you been up to?" she asked softly, her hands resting on the table, fingers entwined. Well, a lot has happened." For what felt like forever, he had only rehearsed this moment in his mind, never feeling prepared enough. "I've been working. I got a degree in graphic design, moved to the city, just trying to figure things out." Her eyes widened slightly, pride creeping in. "I'm glad to hear that. It sounds like you're doing well." The air grew heavy again with everything unspoken. "I wish I could have seen you during all this time. I thought you hated me," he finally admitted, his voice shaky. "Hated you? Never. I couldn't find you, Ethan. I didn't know where to look." Tears glimmered in her eyes. "I just wanted to protect you all those years ago. I thought it would be better for you to have space." A knot formed in Ethan's throat. Those words hit him differently now. "But I wanted to be with you. I wanted to understand." "Do you?" she replied, her tone wavering, as if daring him to delve deeper. "You wanted to understand or you wanted to blame?" "Because there is so much I want to understand," he interrupted, his heart racing. "I'm not here to blame you, Mom. I just want a chance to know you again." Those words hung between them, weighted and tender. Ethan reached out hesitantly, his hand hovering above hers. Could we start over? He asked, vulnerability etched into his features. Laura looked at him, her eyes reflecting his longing. Starting over isn't easy, Ethan. I know, he responded, heat rising in his chest. But I'm willing to try. Will you? In the electric pause that followed, they both recognized the gravity of what was unfolding. Hope flickered at the edges, but it wasn't enough to drown out the quiet echoes of pain. But before Laura could respond, a loud voice interrupted their moment. Excuse me. Sorry to interrupt. Both of them turned, startled, only to find a stranger standing beside their table. Ethan could feel the tension seep away for a brief moment, confusion curling in its place. Who are you? Laura asked, her expression a mix of annoyance and curiosity. I'm sorry. I just have to ask if you two are coming to support Family Day. There's a whole lot of activities planned. Ethan's heart sank. This wasn't the reunion he had envisioned. He felt the distance creep in again. Before he could respond, Laura's expression shifted, her attention drawn to something over the stranger's shoulder. Ethan, she whispered, her face blanched. What is it? He turned just in time to catch sight of a figure approaching, and his breath caught in his throat. Mom! A girl exclaimed, eyes wide with recognition, darting toward Laura. The layers of their reunion were now tangled in questions he never expected. Who was this girl? What did she mean to Laura? His heart raced again as everything shifted, turning the fragile moment into a brewing storm. Would they ever break free from the weight of the past, or would this encounter only lead to deeper divides? Laura's face paled, emotions swirling like a tempest in her eyes. The girl approached quickly, her face a reflection of confusion and excitement. Is that really you? The girl asked, breathless. She was a little younger than Ethan, her hair curling around her cheeks, green eyes sparkling with a wild kind of hope. Ethan recoiled slightly, overwhelmed. Who are you? He asked, his heart pounding. It felt like a crack had formed in the carefully constructed dam of emotions he'd been holding back for years. I'm Lily, the girl replied, her voice a bit shaky. I'm your sister. Your sister. Each word felt like a stone hitting water, sending ripples through everything. He glanced at Laura, her face a mixture of shock and unease. She looked caught between joy and the weight of expectations. The stranger who had interrupted their moment slipped away, leaving Ethan alone with the truth he hadn't anticipated. I have a sister. He asked again, still trying to wrap his mind around the implications. Laura nodded slowly, her expression softening. I didn't want to burden you with everything, she explained, her voice trembling. It was hard. I was trying to create a new life, free of the chaos, but she hesitated, looking at both Ethan and Lily, her heart laid bare before them. But what? Ethan pressed, desperation seeping through his words. This was too much to process. What does this all mean? It means, Laura began, taking a deep breath, that I didn't just walk away from you. I wanted to raise a family, to give you the life I couldn't, but I made mistakes along the way. Lily stepped forward, her gaze shifting between her mother and Ethan. I always wondered about you. Mom never talked much about him. She hesitated, biting her lip. About who? Ethan's heart raced. About me? She didn't want to hurt you, or me, Lily replied, her voice trembling with sincerity. She wanted to protect you. To keep our past away from me. Ethan felt the weight of those words hammering against his chest. But I'm here now. Why didn't you say anything? I've been looking for answers my entire life. I didn't know how to tell you, Laura admitted, tears welling in her eyes. I thought I was giving you space. I thought I could allow you to heal alone. We could have healed together, Ethan countered, frustration bubbling to the surface. You don't just erase family like we were nothing. I know. Laura's voice quivered, breaking under the pressure of her own guilt. Silence hung in the air, thick and suffocating. Every second felt monumental, the enormity of the moment crashing down like waves. Ethan glanced at Lily, who wore an expression of longing mixed with uncertainty. I didn't know about you until recently, Laura admitted softly, her eyes filled with tears. You were lost to us, and I didn't see a way to bring you both together. Ethan turned to Lily, uncertainty creeping into his heart. What do you know about all this? How long have you known? Lily shrugged, looking down. Just that Mom had a life before me. I would see pictures of you, hear glimpses in stories, but she never really explained. Stories? What kind of stories? He felt a knot forming in his stomach. Had she spent all these years safeguarding the truth, believing it would save them? Just snippets, happy memories, heartbreak, that sort of thing, Lily said, folding her arms, her gaze drifting toward the floor. Let us sit down again, Laura suggested, the weight of emotion pressing on her shoulders. There is so much to unpack. Nervousness fluttered in Ethan's chest, but with a glance at Mia, who had stepped into the room to support, he knew they couldn't turn away from this. He seated himself again at the table, beckoning Lily to join him. I could have used a sister, he said finally, trying to bridge the chasm between them, his thoughts fledging into possibility. You don't even know me, Lily replied, a tinge of defiance in her tone. But with that spark, Ethan felt something shift within him, a connection blooming slowly amidst the confusion. Right, but we can change that. We can get to know each other. Maybe we start small. I guess, she replied reluctantly. But it's not going to be easy. I'm used to hard, Ethan said with a soft laugh that lifted the weight just a little. With both of you, maybe we can make this work. As they settled into hesitant conversations about their past, laughter gingerly lacing their exchanges, Charlie and Mia remained nearby, quietly watching the reunion unfold. Even in the midst of uncertainty, every shared memory began stitching three lives together, past pain meeting new hope. Suddenly, Laura grasped Ethan's hands, an earnest look in her eyes. Let us not carry the burdens of the past. Let us build something honest between us. Ethan nodded, feeling the warmth of understanding. That is what I wanted all along. The clouds overhead seemed to part for a moment, letting in warmth. Fear lingered, but it didn't overshadow the spark of something new. Together, they breathed in hope long hidden, a chance to move forward instead of being weighed down by regret. As they began to share their stories and dreams, something profound unfolded at that table, connection intertwined with resilience, knitting families together across generations, haunted by silence. Charlie watched, a tear escaping his eye as he saw his daughter and this boy, a brother he never knew existed, finding their way. The past no longer felt like a shadow but a beginning, the promise of something beautiful waiting just around the corner. A family could be forged from the ruins of regret. And Charlie, feeling encompassed by love, recognized that healing was possible for all of them. The new dawn was breaking on these long-lost hearts. Don't wait not even one more second to share this message of transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now.